we will be hosting one of Minister Shiri's 2 deputies on the 17th of December, which is the week after next. So please do continue to send us your views and requests regards which ministers you'd like us to invite. Then kunewo mamwe ma government officials vanenge vachiti azveku radio zvekuzofurirwa mafoni zvekutaura nevanhu zvikazodididi, but we will continue to engage them and hope that they can come kuti tinge tichita hurukure dzezvinhu zvinosimudzira nyika yedu. Now my Twitter handle is @Linda Muriro, and our guest tonight was requested by some, and you will get to know who he is in a bit. Now, presenting the 2019 National Budget, Finance and Economic Development Minister Professor Mthuli Ncube noted that education provision remains key in driving the economy's future and harnessing the demographic dividend. There still remains a huge gap of children, he noted, not being absorbed in the school system due to shortage of schools, among other reasons. Now, most parents want the best for their children, with many striving to secure a better life for their children than the one they experience themselves. Provision of quality education, or lack of it, is what keeps most Zimbabweans awake at night. Tonight, we discuss implications of the 2019 national budget to the education sector and other related issues. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome to the program Primary and Secondary Education Minister Professor Paul Mavima to the Minister's desk. Good evening, and thank you for joining us, Prof. Mavima.
Thank you, Linda, and good evening, Zimbabwe. I'm very happy to be here.
All right, and as always, we value the contribution of you, our listeners, so please feel free to take part in this discussion. And our WhatsApp number is 0775-897-897. Our studio phone line is 0772-162-651. And like I've already said, my Twitter handle is @Linda Muriro. So many contributions that have come throughout the course of the day, and we will be forwarding those messages to Minister Mavima. Now, Prof, to begin with, the October 2018 ZIMSEC grade 7 results are out. ZIMSEC board chairperson Professor Edimwenje requested that candidates begin collecting them from their respective schools from tomorrow. Now, Prof Mwenje said the national pass rate increased by 7.35% to 52.8% from the 2017 national pass rate of 44.73%. What do you make of this outcome?
Linda, I'm very happy about that outcome. It shows that we are not warehousing failure in our schools, but our learners continue to do well. And it is also speaking to the efforts that we are making to make sure that Zimbabwean schools are well provided with teaching and learning materials, and also fairly well capacitated teachers. I think that's what that statistic is saying. You know that previously we had gone down a little bit because of the introduction of agriculture, but it seems like now our learners are now very comfortable with taking 5 subjects, which include agriculture. So I'm very happy about that statistic that was revealed today by our examination council, ZIMSEC.
All right, it's just agriculture performance. Like you've said, in the past we've had issues, especially last year, where the learners and parents alike were complaining. Now parents and guardians with children who have just completed their grade 7 are now busy running around looking for Form 1 places. How is the EMAP online system doing? In the past we've had reports from parents who are facing difficulties using the platform.
The platform itself does not have any problems, Linda. The applications have been done already, with learners indicating there are 3 preferences of secondary school. For boarding, and people need to understand that EMAP is essentially for boarding places. The challenge that we face, Linda, is, let me give you an example. Goromonzi High School, for example, will take only about 120 Form 1 learners, but because of the popularity of the school, over 3,000 learners have applied. So Goromonzi will select on the basis of performance of the learners, and the rest, of those 3,000 will have to find alternative schools. We typically run around with the system up to about mid-December, and everything will settle. People will realize that if they've been too ambitious and going for the most popular schools, they will have to tone down on their ambition and go to alternative schools. And so that's the situation that we are in. Itself, technically, the EMAP program does not have much of a problem. It's only that sometimes learners are too ambitious. They go for the most popular schools, and because of that they get disappointed when they don't get their first choice, but most of the time they then get on their second choice or the third choice.
All right, we'd like to hear from you out there. Kana muri kutsvaga nzvimbo dzeform 1 motiudzawo yakamira sei, machallenges amuri kuita kana pasina, toda kungonzwa pfungwa dzenyu sezvo tine kota rinoona nezvekudzidzwa kwedzidzo yeprimary nesecondary. Now, Honorable Minister Mavima, in the past, ZIMSEC would release a list of top performers outlining how schools would have performed in terms of O and A-level pass rate, and the ministry banned this, saying it was giving unnecessary pressure to schools as parents would congest the said top performers. What is government or your ministry's stance at the moment? Some have argued that promote competition amongst schools, and members of the public could assess performance yezvikoro nelistiro rinenge raburiswa.
You will need to know, Linda, that it was actually the press that was coming up with the list, not necessarily ZIMSEC. They would actually take the results provided by ZIMSEC and then rank the schools. It's not necessarily a bad idea because of the promotion of competition, but there are other issues related to how they are ranked, Linda. Our schools are different. There are many disparities among our schools. A school that is carrying 3,000 learners would be compared, and it's in a regular high density area or even in a rural area, would be compared with some of the elite schools with only a few learners and with all the amenities that would make learning much easier. And so we felt that there has to be some kind of weighting of the situations that our different schools find themselves in order to make it much more fair, you know, for all the schools. So we were critical about it, but it's not necessarily a bad thing as long as proper weighting has been done for the various factors that are considered in order to rank the schools.
All right. Now, Honorable Minister, we have also seen a lot of price hikes of a number of goods and services across all sectors. And what's keeping most parents awake at night is the issue of school fees as the curtain comes down on the third school term. Kuti next term, first term year 2019, what is government's position on the issue of fees hikes by schools?
Linda, this issue is one issue that we will have to deal with collectively as government. The ministers, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Industry, and myself need to sit down and consider the situation. We also have to deal with it nationally, again collectively, and find some solutions. If our boarding schools, for example, or even our day schools, maintain the same level of fees and levies, most of them will not be able to sufficiently and optimally operate in 2019 because of the differences, you know, the price hikes, maybe sometimes by a factor of 3 or even more than 3. So if we are serious about this whole thing, we need to sit down.
How soon can we expect you to sit down and come up with the it's just a month. School holidays is just a month, and before then and
Linda, we are already talking as I speak. We are already talking. I am already consulting with my colleague ministers to find out what we can do in order to have this situation. And you also find that parents themselves are coming up with suggestions, and some of them very innovative suggestions.
What suggestions have been brought forward?
For example, parents are now saying we may not, because parents are organized into SDCs, they are saying we may not necessarily increase the fees as SDCs. But what we can do is to come up with a list of the resources that we need, including goods, and then we ask parents to actually buy those goods and take them to school so that the schools can operate. I find that to be quite innovative, and it shows the conscientiousness that our parents' body has and their willingness to really work together with the schools in order to address the current problem.
All right, and moving on to another issue, the phone line is already buzzing, and I will be taking those calls in a bit, and the number is 0772162651, and our WhatsApp platform is 0775897897. My Twitter handle is at Linda Muriro, and the minister here is a bit under the weather, but would like to thank him for finding the time to just come and discuss those issues with us. Now, the issue of corporal punishment, there is a video that has gone viral on social media, and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Media Services has said that it is investigating the source or the validity of this video. What is government stance on corporal punishment? The issue has created so much debate on social media, and all sorts. What is your stance as the ministry on this issue?
Linda, I viewed the video that you are referring to. I still have to get confirmation as to what school it was where that corporal punishment was taking place, even with adults actually videotaping that abhorrible conduct by the school. So I have talked to the permanent secretary. I want them to find out which school it was and what was the purpose even of videotaping it. I want the nation to know, Linda, that we are moving to ban corporal punishment in schools.
You are moving to ban, meaning right now
our constitution does not allow, but we had to align the education sector with the constitution, and our education act is currently before cabinet, and we have already put within that bill a ban on all types of corporal punishment. And this particular one was so bad. You don't do that. It's complete human rights abuse of the rights of those learners who were being spanked with a video rolling. You know, it's bad enough to spank, but to then put it on video, Linda, this is, I don't know how to describe it.
Right, so schools that are caught on the wrong side of you've cited the constitution, so clearly it is the law. What if a pupil, a learner reports
there's a whole administrative and disciplinary process that has to take place. The first thing, Linda, is to investigate and find out exactly is this the school that has been alleged to be doing that. Remember, previously there was another video which went viral, and a school in Gokwe was alleged to have been doing that, but it turned out that actually that footage was not from Zimbabwe, it was from a school in South Africa. So we have to be dead sure, and then upon that establishment we should then move to make sure that appropriate action is taken against specifically the teachers involved.
Right. So that puts to rest the issue of corporal punishment. Now, a message that is coming through that we've also received through the course of the day. Linda, my question is, hurumende iri kuti chiine zvikoro zvino insista kuti ma uniforms ngatengwe at certain outlets. Kunenge kuchidhura. I'm not going to mention the nzvimbo dzacho dzataurwa, asi hanzi unogona kunzitenga uniform yakati ku shop A asi uchizoti yakachipa ku shop B. Nyaya yeform 1 yatiri kutaura kuti vabereki vamubishi rekutsvaga nzvimbo nekutenga zvinodiwa nevana zvekuchikoro.
Takataura and rega ndishandise mukana uno zvakare Linda kuti hakuna vabereki vanofanira kumanikidzwa kutenga uniform pachikoro kana kune mamwe mashop anenge anzi na headmaster kana kuti ne leadership yechikoro indai munotenga ikoko. Zvatakaona ndezvekuti kazhinji panenge paiswa markup yakakurisa and vanhu vanenge vachiita business ipapo vanenge vakuita business really almost usury, and we are saying to parents, tell us about schools that are practicing that abhorrent practice. We atidi kuti vabereki vedu vakatoomerwa kudhara varambe vachiomerwa nenyaya dzeuniform dziri kunzi tengai kuvanhu vari kuita usury. Saka vabereki ngavataure pane masituations akaita seyayo. We have intervened previously in schools that were doing that, and we reached an understanding, and parents were given the choice of going to buy from retailers who were much cheaper than what was being provided.
Right, a similar contribution coming. Anzi pama form 1 kune ma schools vanosungira kuti titenge ma school uniforms avanotengesa pachikoro ipapa chidhura asi mushop akachipa kana usingakwanise kutenga uniform ipapo nzvimbo awiwani. So I think this issue has already been addressed. Let's take some callers. Stefamilo? Stefamilo? Yes, are you through to the minister's desk?
Linda, ndo patataura paya kuti kana vabereki vakaona kuti chikoro chiri kushandisa nyaya yeuniform kuita fundraising, ngavatitaurire maybe pama district levels, even kuma provincial levels, kana kuti even ku headquarters kwedu kuti ndo zviri kuitika. Ministry inobva yaenda kunosolva nyaya iyoyo.
Now, Honorable Minister Mavima, some might ask kuti zvinhu zvese zviri kungokwira chinozotadzisa mauniform kukwira chii. Takambonzwa Minister veIndustry and Commerce vamangaliso vachitaura at some forum kuti zvoni he was tipped that not in the spirit of wanting to cause alarm, mitengo yemauniform inogona kukwira nechikamu chakati kurei. Handizive kuti ministry yenyu ine chikamu here kana kuti a role to play muma negotiations anenge achiiswaya nema suppliers kana kuti neve industry, nekuti kukwira kwema uniform kuno affectawo kudzidza kwevana.
Ndiri kutaura, ndandichitaura current practice Linda. Ndandichitaura zvikoro zvanga zvatogara zvakwidza even before takaona ma price hikes. Ndandichitaura zvikoro zvaiti, for example, uniform inocosta $700 but fees iri kuita $400. And this was a phenomenon yatakaona last year before even the price hikes. Within the context of price hikes, this is why ndandichitaura kuti tiri kutaura na Minister we Industry and Commerce, tukutaura na Minister we Finance. And Minister we Industry and Commerce has been ari kutaura nevano supply my uniforms kuti tione kuti ma inputs acho apinda nema-prices ari reasonable kuitira kuti uniform isanyanye kukwira kudarika painofanira kunge iri given ma-price increases atakaona. But tinoziva kuti zvikoro zvinoshandisa uniform as income generating project. Sometimes they go overboard, and that's what we're talking about. We're not talking generally within the context of the price increases here. But ndataura Linda kuti within the context of the price increases, we need to find ways in which we can make education continuously affordable for our parents.
Let's take some more callers. From hello. Hello, yes. Could you please lower the volume of your radio? Saka muri kuti solution ndeipi mukoma? Muri kuti zvoitwa sei? Tikutenderei kutaura mazita mukoma, ndinopiwa mabhile advertising mandidzingisa basa.
But imimi kana muri kuti zvikoro ngazvitengese neprice iri pamusoro ye fundraising iri usury, moti ministry ngaisapindira. Anoruza ndiani? Aisi Zimbabwe here inoruza, asi vabereki here vanoruza. Isu tiri kuti tiudzei kuri kuitwa uori hwacho hwakadaro so that we can intervene. Andioni chakaipa pakuti hurumende itaure nezvikoro ichivakurudzira kuti vasaite zvinhu zvakadaro. No, atinamboti ngavasatengesa mauniform pachikoro. Tangoti kana vachitengesa ngavatengese nemaprice ari reasonable, ari competitive, kana zvikatariswa kuti kumashop kuri kutengeswa nemari yakati. Ivo vakazoisa factor ye 50% more, hazvisisiri zvinhu zvakanaka. But vakati taenda kunotora mauniform uku, tazoisawo 5% kana 10% yedu, zvinonzwisisika. Chatiri kuramba ndechekuti vaise ma-usury rates, vanoita ma-super profits, zvobva zvakanganisa vabereki. Ndo zvatiri kuramba izvozvo.
All right, thank you very much for that. And the number to send your messages to is 0775897897, and our phone line is 0772162651. And we also have some questions that have come through as well on Twitter. I'll just take this call. Start from hello. Yes, are you through to the minister's desk? All right, tivape mkana kuti vapindure.
My private schools, Linda, still are no supervised wana secretary, permanent secretary we education. Saka kana vachida kukwidza mitengo, vachida kukwidza mafees, vanofanira kuuya kuna secretary we education kuti vapiwe mvumo yekukwidza. Chinonetsa pa ma private schools akawanda, vabereki pachavo ndivo vanotaurirana voti tiri kuda kukwidza. Saka ministry kazhinji haizonzwe nezvazvo, and vabereki vacho vanenge vachitotaura kuti hatidi government muchikoro chedu chiri private ichi, tiri kuda kukwidza nekuti tinoda kuti paite mafacilities, maprograms anoenderana nestatus yedu sevanhu vane mari. So panoita contradiction ipapo, Linda. In some cases my individuals anenge asawane mari dzakakwana kuti vaendese vana vavo kuprivate school vanozouya kugovernment voti chititsvagirai nzvimbo kuma-government schools nekuti uko hatichakwanise, nekuti vamwe vabereki variko vari kuti let's go on tikwidze mitengo. Saka pane contradiction ipapo. Chimwe chandoda kuti Zimbabwe izive, Linda, public school yedu, public schools yedu, they are not necessarily inferior to most of these private schools. Kazhinji tinoti vana vabva kuya ku private school voenda ku public school vanosvika voipiwa remediation kutovabatsira kuti vabatane nevamwe vana vagara vari ku public school. Saka it's not necessarily an advantage, and vabereki vanoita sometimes vanoita ma choices anozovadzipa mberi, but handisi kuti private schools akaipa. Kune mamwe private schools that are doing extremely well, and that are reasonable when they consider kukwidza mitengo nema fees. Some of the best performing schools are at half of their counterparts in terms of my fees, because unonzwa vamwe vachiti tobhadhariswa $2,500 per term, but kune zvimwe zvikoro zviri kubhadhara bhadharisa more than 5,000, 10,000. Ukatarisa impact on the learner, it's not commensurate with the amounts that people are paying. Saka vabereki vanofanira kuita ma choices kwavo when it comes to private schools.
All right, a lot of questions that are coming through regarding dzokera pa script timbobvunza nyaya dzebudget satazodzokera kumibvunzo iri apa. Now Professor Mavima, takaona budget presentation yakaitwa a couple of weeks back. Your take on that, what is the impact of the 2019 national budget on the education sector?
The budget that we got, Linda, is a continuation of a legacy that this country established at independence in 1980. In 1980, there was a deliberate government decision to emphasize education, to prioritize education. This is the reason why we are the most literate country in Africa. This is the reason why we have been able to export human capital in the region.
But let's look at the state of our schools, Minister Mavima. Pane munhu ari kutouya pa Twitter ari kuti minister vanoziva here kuti kune zvikoro zvekuti vana hazvistori zvikoro vana vachiri kudzidza pasi pemiti uye vana vachifamba makilomita akawanda. Then some have said that you embarked on an ambitious new curriculum, resources asati ave.
But Linda, why do you take me back to issue a new
these are the issues.
But you can't do that. It's unfair. Let me tell you about this budget.
Yes.
This budget is 1.132 billion. This is the budget. But you will understand, Linda, that 96.74% of this budget is recurrent expenditure. What capital expenditure is 3.26. This 3.26 is which is a total of 37,152,000 2,000 is what we have for all the capital expenditures, building schools and everything. But I've been saying to this nation, we cannot continue like this. We have to find ways in which we can generate resources in order to build schools. We got a loan of 20 million and we are building 17 schools now throughout the country, representing the most affected provinces. Much West is the most affected in terms of schools that are not really schools, and we've given them more on this 17. But we want to build 2,000 schools in order to have sufficient infrastructure, Linda. And I've been talking to this nation to say...
Yet questions still arise,
yeah, but,
Honorable Minister, that you did embark on an ambitious new curriculum.
But the issue... Hold on.
Backlog, yeah, but yet my resources implement a new curriculum. We've been talking to organizations.
No. I want you to be a good journalist, Linda. There is a difference between teaching and learning materials for the new curriculum and infrastructure. You want to make that differentiation.
So why do we have
let me
those
tell you.
challenges,
Let me tell you. No. But you are not listening. You are not listening, Linda. We have done extremely well in terms of providing teaching and learning materials to all schools. Since we started, we are not getting any complaints about teaching and learning materials anymore.
We have been talking to teacher organizations who are saying otherwise.
I don't want you to listen to cynicism. We have this year alone, we have spent more than 15 million providing books and teaching and learning materials. Right now, Linda, we have moved even a step higher. We are providing science kits to 3,000 primary schools. We are also doing 700 mobile labs to primary schools. This is a massive investment that we've done. It's different from the issue of infrastructure. So I want you to be a good journalist who looks at what government has done.
Are you saying that the teaching and learning material disengage from issues of infrastructure?
I am saying no. I am saying the school where learners are learning under a tree have books that we have provided. But I'm also worried differently about the learning under trees. This is where I'm saying be a good journalist and differentiate. We've done extremely well.
No, I've done so, Honorable Minister.
But what have you done?
Teaching material kwacho maka implement a new curriculum yemaka implementa izvanga zvavepo here nekuti
yes.
vana vari kudzidza zvekuverenga zvacho vanazvo
here. When we started we didn't have. Hold on. When we started we didn't have, but now we have. Go and check. All the disadvantaged schools, 6,000 of them have received teaching and learning materials. 3,000 schools are receiving at primary school science kits, because we are promoting the teaching and learning of science, STEM, from a very early age. That's massive work that has been done by the government. Right now, I am rushing my officials to finish a tender for another 6 million. To be discerning, to have a nuanced approach to understanding these things. We have solved the issue of teaching and learning materials. We are in the process of solving the problem of teacher capacity development, because we have continuous teacher capacity development. We still have a serious problem as far as infrastructure is concerned. This is why I'm saying the 17 schools that we're building are a drop in the ocean. We want to build 2,000 schools. And I've been pushing for the establishment of a fund that we can use in order to give comfort to investors who can bring in resources so that we can build those schools. And we are succeeding as far as that is concerned.
Good, thank you. You're through to the Minister's desk.
All right. Honorable Minister, thank you for coming to
No, that's fine. It's a suggestion that we can consider. And you remember I had already responded to this and saying we don't want any usury practices as far as uniforms are concerned. Yeah, that's fine. I hear you, and I would get our officials to consider.
All right, let's take another caller. Star FM, hello? Yes, you're through to the minister's desk.
Discuss the other issues. No, we have targeted the schools that are very disadvantaged to provide teaching and learning materials, and we'll continue like that. We have also a per capita grant that we give to schools in order to acquire some of the materials that they need. I will tell you, Linda, that I'm not worried about schools, that most of the schools that you find in urban areas, especially in the low density areas, but also in a lot of the high density areas, they are able to provide for themselves. The schools that I'm worried about most are about 3,500 schools that we have classified as disadvantaged, and these are the ones that we are focusing on. On everything that we do, priority goes to those schools. Right, because we don't want to leave any child behind.
Minister Mavima, I'm looking at the messages that are coming through on a WhatsApp platform. Mambo Jerome says, Linda, I think Minister Mavima is misinformed highly about the new curriculum. Schools in the rural areas have no electricity, science labs, anoshandisa gas chayo. And a whole lot of messages that are talking about this issue. Anzi kuno Kunya Mukwarara in Mutasa district hatina facilities arikutaurwa na honorable minister, science kits to be precise. And someone says minister vari kunyepa isu kuno hatina zvavari kutaura vane zvikoro zvavanopa. And I'll just take a couple of more callers nekuti ma message ekuverenga anoita kunge angu andiri kuverenga. Star FM, hello, before we give you time to respond. Thank you so much for coming through. You're through to the minister's desk.
Thank you. First of all, our economy is very hard, and I think that because we cannot expect education, we don't have a to take up. However, my issue is when I have seen what can the government do to encourage parents, especially like my body.
All right, thank you very much for that contribution. Yanze murkuita sei kukurudzira vanhu kuti vabhadhare ma school fees.
My boarding schools, Linda, sending your child to a boarding school is a personal choice that is made by the parent. When you make that choice, you need to make sure that you have paid the boarding fees before the child goes to that boarding school. That's what we tell the schools. And it's only fair if you are excluded from a boarding school, because you have the choice of then going to a day school. And in day schools, that's where we say we don't encourage exclusion, but we encourage that parents make payment arrangements. But if you have made a choice to send your child to a boarding school, please pay. Please pay. And also our parents, we encourage our parents to pay. We haven't reached the state where we can have a free basic education in this country because the fiscal space is not there. So as parents, we need to understand that most of our schools run with the contributions of parents, and so they need to pay so that we can provide quality education to our learners. I want to respond to people who have been saying it's not true, it's a lie that we have provided teaching and learning material. This is the cynicism that I have said we need to move away as a nation from. I'm telling you, Linda, that we have provided teaching and learning materials to more than 6,500 schools.
Yeah, but each and every day kutitengai vari kupiwa malist ekudzitengai mabhuku akati pamusoro pekunge vachibhadhara iwo mafees ari kutemesa musoro vopiwa list remabhuku list rezvakati zvinenge zvichidiwa kuzvikoro.
There are certain things that we don't provide as government that go towards the running of a school. That's why we have levies at schools. This is why I'm saying I agree that a lot of what happens in our schools today, the contribution comes from parents. We as government have taken a deliberate stance to say the basic teaching and learning materials, teachers' guides, reading books are provided especially for the disadvantaged schools. And someone says we haven't seen the kids. Yes, they haven't seen them because we've just acquired them and we'll be distributing them in 2019.
All right, let's take some more callers. Saka pawanenge vachitaura kuti havasi kuzviona icho kwadi
aiwa but mabhuku vakaona Kalinda.
Star Family. Yes, are you through to the minister's desk?
Okay,
takateerera taurai.
chaita theory chii kana tichiti takaisa mabhuku itheory rekauti practical. No, ipapo ndo patataura kuti tichienda muna 2019 tinofanira kuti tizoziva kuti maprices achinja. Saka tikaona even vemashops vati kwidzei zvinhu zvatinofanira kuti tiunderstand nekuti maprice akakwira andimunzwa. But nyaya yandandichitaura ndeyekuti pane zvimwe zvikoro manje zvinozotora advantage zvakuti paunoitenga mutauni ne$50 ivo maybe vakuti 120 150 ndo patiri kunetsana napo. Izvozvo ndo zvatinenge tisingadi nepamusana pekuti no zvakaitika kutanga kwegore rino handisi at liberty kumenshena zvangu maschools acho but zvakaitika kutanga kwegore rino ministry ikapindira vakagadzirisa nyaya yemaprice iyayo. Saka ndiri kuti mukaona izvozvo zvichiitika muchiona kuti izvi zveshuwa hazvisi fair, tiudzei so that my officials edu anopindira. Pane vamwe vambotaura nyaya yekuti maybe a secular about this, and ndinobvumirana navo, ndinofunga kuti okay. No, I ndapanzwa pamataura, and I think teacher will have to also sit down in my officials and see how we can approach that one.
All right, so many contributions are still coming through per WhatsApp platform. In our area, we do not have any public schools. We have to rely on private schools, which are expensive. And someone says on Twitter, that's at Mafrizi Tandem Loaka, the minister is not being truthful. There are schools in remote areas that have no books and serious shortage of teachers. The information he's sharing is not accurate and is intentionally misleading. Teaching material for the curriculum and infrastructure are the same. And someone says,
no,
yes,
Linda,
you'd like to respond.
No, Linda. Teaching materials are books. Teaching materials are teacher's guides. Infrastructure is what she is or he is referring to. The shortage of schools, the lack of public schools in some places, it's something that I have acknowledged. I have even said to the nation that we lack 2,056 schools. We have done them.
Yama teaching materials vakawanda even varikuuya on WhatsApp, Linda, and I will be glad to show you the messages. This is coming from the people, Linda, Honorable Mavima, not me.
Linda, you know that we did a launch with UNICEF. You know yourself that we did a launch of the distribution of teaching and learning materials. I will not sit here and get people to say I'm lying when it was a public program.
All right, Honorable Minister.
And we have targeted those disadvantaged schools. If you go to any, and I do spot checks myself to say if these books got into that school. So I don't want people to mislead the nation for cynical reasons.
All right, Honorable Minister, we have
invested so much.
We will invite you to future programs where we'll ask for review this new curriculum, and there were wide stakeholder consultations, teachings, and in future programs we will have the custodians of the education sector implement a new curriculum. But I would like to thank you so much for coming to the show.
Let me say one thing before I leave. Zimbabwe, this updated curriculum, this competence-based curriculum is what we need to take this education sector into the 21st century. If we go back to the 20th century, we'll lag behind completely. We have to work together as Zimbabwe to make sure that this has been implemented. Government is doing its part, parents have to do their part.
And on that note, I'm going to ask that we call it a day on this program. That thank you very much, Honorable Minister Paul Mavima, for coming to the show. He is the Minister of Primary and Secondary Education. So many issues that we could not get into, but we hope that the Minister will come again for a future interview. Until next time, I'm Linda Muriro, and it's goodbye for now.
Thank you. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Zimbabwe.